Menya moving away from him, Morizzi in the headband. A battle between these two, and Gout working so hard to get to him, and he gets there. Gout takes it by meter.
This 17-year-old kid from Australia just became the fastest teenager on the planet, and now he's about to face the world's best sprinters for the first time. While most high school seniors are worried about prom and graduation, Gout Gout is skipping class to compete at the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo. Let's back up for a second. If you haven't heard of Gout Gout yet, you're about to. This kid isn't just fast, he's rewriting the record books while juggling homework and exams. Born to Sudanese parents who moved to Australia in 2005, Gout has become the most exciting thing to happen to Australian track and field in decades. Just a few months ago in the Czech Republic, Gout lined up for his first senior race outside Australia at the Ostrava Golden Spike meet. He was competing against grown men who trained full-time while he was still attending Ipswich Grammar School. The gun went off, and Gout found himself trailing Cuba's Rainier Mena as they entered the home straight. Then something special happened. Gout unleashed a burst of speed that left everyone watching in shock. He flew past Mena and crossed the line in 20.02 seconds, breaking his own Australian record by 0.02 of a second. After the race, with reporters surrounding him, Gout kept it simple. "I feel good. New personal best, new national record in my first European race," he told them with the calm confidence of someone twice his age. But here's what makes this even more incredible. That 20.02 wasn't just a personal best. It was faster than Usain Bolt ran when he first raced at that same meet back in 2006. Bolt clocked 20.28 seconds, and we all know what happened next. 3 Olympic golds in the 200 meters and a world record that still stands today. The comparisons to Bolt aren't just about times. Watch Gout run and you'll see the same tall frame, the same smooth stride, the same way he seems to glide over the track. Even their career paths are eerily similar. Gout has already broken the same junior world records that Bolt once held. Now, Australia has officially announced their team for the World Championships in Tokyo, and Gout Gout is on it. At just 17 years old, he'll be making his senior debut on the biggest stage in track and field outside the Olympics. The announcement has sent the entire country into a frenzy. To understand just how big this is, you need to know what Gout has done to Australian athletics. Last year, nobody outside track circles had heard his name. Today, he can't leave his house without getting mobbed by fans. When he ran at a small local meet called the Stawell Gift on Easter weekend, 6,000 people showed up, double the usual crowd. He didn't even make the final, but nobody cared. Then came the Moree Plant meet in Melbourne. Gout was scheduled to run the 200 meters at Lakeside Stadium, and something unprecedented happened. 10,000 people bought tickets. It was the first sellout for a one-day athletics meet in Australia in over 20 years. People were driving from across the country just to watch a teenager run for 20 seconds. The media attention has been overwhelming. 14 Australian journalists have been given credentials for the World Championships, more than double the number who covered the last championships in Hungary. Both Channel 9 and SBS are broadcasting the event, creating an unprecedented situation where 2 major networks are covering the same athletics competition. Bruce McAvaney, Australia's legendary sports commentator, has been covering athletics for decades. When he talks about Gout, you can hear the excitement in his voice. McAvaney said this recently, "He may be 17, but I think it's possible for him to reach the 200-meter final in Tokyo, which would be an extraordinary achievement at his age. Even Usain Bolt couldn't do that." That's the thing that makes Gout so special. When Bolt went to his first Olympics as an 18-year-old in Athens 2004, he didn't even get out of his heat. Most teenage sprinters take years to develop the strength and technique to compete with the world's best. Gout is doing it while still in high school. His coach is Di Shepherd, a 60-year-old woman who used to work in the uniform shop at Gout's school. She's not a former Olympic champion or a famous track coach. She's a straight-talking disciplinarian who believes in hard work and doesn't sugarcoat anything. When reporters ask her about Gout's future, she doesn't hold back. "I'm not suggesting it. He's going to go to that level," she told Australian television earlier this year. Olympic gold. It might not be 28 Los Angeles, but definitely going to happen in 2032. That's significant because 2032 is when the Olympics come to Brisbane, Australia's 3rd largest city. The numbers back up the hype. Gout's 20.02 seconds puts him in rarefied air for a 17-year-old. He's beaten every time that Bolt ran as a junior. He holds the Australian records for under-16 athletes in both the 100 and 200 meters. At the Australian National Championships earlier this year, he ran 19.84 seconds in the 200 meters, which would have broken the 20-second barrier. Unfortunately, the wind was too strong, so the time didn't count. Same thing happened when he ran 9.99 seconds in the 100 meters. But even his legal times are incredible. His 10.17 in the 100 meters makes him one of only 2 Australians to break 10.20 this year. His 20.02 in the 200 meters is the fastest time run by any teenager in the world this season. Here's where it gets interesting though. While Gout has been busy with math tests and English essays, the world's best sprinters have been training full-time and racing in Diamond League meets across Europe. Noah Lyles, the current world champion and Olympic 100-meter champion, ran 19.63 seconds earlier this year, the fastest time in the world. 6 of the 10 fastest times this season have been run by Americans. When you look at the world rankings, Gout's 20.02 puts him tied for 20th fastest this year. That might not sound impressive until you remember he's still a teenager, juggling school with training. Every other athlete ranked ahead of him is a full-time professional who's been preparing for these championships all year. Andrew Fachney, who manages Australia's high-performance athletics program, keeps expectations realistic. To just get out of the heat would be a fantastic effort from Gout in that event, he said recently. He is only 17. When Usain Bolt went to the 2004 Olympics as a teenager, he didn't get out of his heat. To make a semi-final in a 200, which is one of the most competitive events in the world, very few 17-year-olds have ever done that. The pressure is building though. Australian betting company Tab is offering odds of 21-1 for Gout to win the 200-meter final. Not make the final, win it. They're giving 4.5-1 odds for him to finish in the top 3. Those are incredibly optimistic odds for someone making his senior debut. Gout seems unfazed by all the attention. When reporters ask him about pressure, he keeps it simple. I don't feel any pressure. Because as soon as I step out on that track, it's just me by myself and what I've got to do, my favorite thing, and that's to run, he said after his record-breaking race in Czech Republic. So, I just go out there and run and nothing stops me from doing that. Despite his instant fame, Gout's life remains surprisingly normal. He still lives at home with his 6 siblings, sharing a bedroom with his brother in the family house in Spring Hill on the outskirts of Brisbane. While he signed a $6 million deal with Adidas, he's still the same kid who has to ask permission to skip school for the biggest race of his life. The World Championships will feature Australia's largest ever team, 88 athletes. For the first time in history, all 5 of Australia's relay teams have qualified. The team includes 6 Olympic medalists from last year's Paris Games, led by high jumper Nicola Ollislagers, who just set a world-leading mark of 2.04 meters.
Botswana had never even had a semi-finalist before Paris 2024 and now got their champion.
Letsail Tebogo, the quiet 22-year-old who shocked the world by beating Lyles at the Paris Olympics, has fired back with words that have everyone talking about their upcoming clash at the World Championships. Let's start with how different these two athletes really are. If you watched the warm-up before the Paris Olympic 200-meter final, you saw everything you need to know about their personalities. Noah Lyles was bouncing around the track, feeding off the crowd's energy like a live wire. Meanwhile, Tebogo stood there rubbing his arms as if cold air had entered the stadium, completely focused and ice cold. Track fans have started calling them Fire and Ice, and it fits perfectly. Lyles is the showman who loves the spotlight and isn't afraid to let everyone know how good he is. Tebogo is the opposite. He lets his legs do the talking and rarely says much to the media. But this quiet approach doesn't mean Tebogo lacks confidence. After Paris, when asked about his rivalry with Lyles, he said something that caught everyone's attention. He mentioned he couldn't see himself as an arrogant or loud person like Noah. That comment was subtle but sharp, and it set the tone for everything that followed. Tebogo's rise to the top is one of the most inspiring stories in athletics. He grew up in a small village called Kanye, about 50 miles from Botswana's capital. His family couldn't afford proper running equipment, so he trained barefoot for years. He only got his first pair of spikes after breaking his country's 100-meter record. The kid who once trained without shoes became Botswana's first Olympic gold medalist and the first African to win the Olympic 200 meters. But his journey to Paris wasn't easy. Just months before the Olympics, Tebogo lost his mother after a brief illness. He admits he stayed home for 3 weeks, sleeping and having no motivation to train. When his teammates finally convinced him to return to the track, he had to ask himself a difficult question. Would his mother be happy if he quit the sport? That moment became his turning point, and he channeled his grief into Olympic glory. The 2025 season brought these two champions back together, and the tension was immediate. Lyles had been dealing with a groin injury that kept him off the track for 3 months. His first race back was against Tebogo at the Monaco Diamond League in July. This race was huge because it was their first meeting since Paris. Lyles hadn't run 200 meters in 338 days, while Tebogo arrived with the fastest time in the world that year, a blazing 19.76 seconds from the previous week. Despite the long layoff, Lyles showed why he's considered one of the greatest 200-meter runners ever. He won in 19.88 seconds, with Tebogo finishing second in 19.97. After the race, Lyles admitted he had put himself in the fire by choosing to face Tebogo in his comeback race. Tebogo wasn't happy with his performance and said he was disappointed because he didn't get his full warm-up due to being called to the track earlier than expected. But running under 20 seconds without proper preparation showed he was still in incredible shape. The real drama happened at the Zurich Diamond League final in August. This wasn't just any race, it was for the Diamond League title, and both athletes knew it was their final tune-up before the World Championships. Before the race, Tebogo posted something on his Instagram that got everyone's attention. He shared the official promotional image that showed him alongside Lyles, but his caption was in Tswana, his native language. It said, "Gwabago Samalojile," which translates to, "Then it started." This wasn't just a random post. Tebogo was sending a message that their Olympic clash and Monaco rematch were just the beginning of something bigger. Using his own language added another layer to their rivalry and showed he wasn't intimidated by facing the American star. The Zurich race lived up to all the hype. Lyles started in lane 6 with Tebogo right next to him in lane 7. As expected, Tebogo exploded out of the blocks and built an early lead. His plan was clear: get ahead early and make Lyles chase him. But Lyles is famous for his closing speed, what track experts call his top end. Even Tebogo acknowledged this before the race, telling reporters that Lyles' finishing kick is crazy unmatched. As they came off the curve, Tebogo was still ahead. The crowd was on their feet because it looked like the Olympic champion might win again. But with about 10 meters left, Lyles found another gear. He caught Tebogo and passed him right at the finish line. The final time showed just how close it was. Lyles won in 19.74 seconds, with Tebogo just 200ths behind in 19.76. That tiny margin made Lyles the first track athlete ever to win 6 Diamond League titles. But the real fireworks came after the race. That's when Tebogo delivered what many are calling his boldest statement yet about their rivalry. Speaking to reporters, Tebogo said he wasn't showing his true potential and that people still needed to see what he could really do. Then came the line that has everyone talking. He said, "You have to let the legs do the talking because the more you talk and cannot prove it, it means you only talk." This was clearly aimed at Lyles, who is known for his confident predictions and bold statements. Tebogo was basically saying that talking doesn't win races, performance does, but he wasn't done there. Tebogo then made an observation about how Lyles had changed since Paris. He said, "I think now Lyles is humble. He knows what can happen in this sport. He wins today, tomorrow, he can lose it. I believe since Paris he has been humble, he has not been talking so much." Then came the biggest statement of all. Tebogo looked directly at the cameras and said, "I believe he is more afraid of me than any other athlete." Those words hit the track world like lightning. Here was the quiet, respectful young man from Botswana directly challenging the established king of the 200 meters. He was saying that despite losing in Zurich, he believed Lyles feared him more than anyone else on the track. Tebogo backed up his bold words by explaining that he and Lyles were equally balanced at the moment and that he planned to double in Tokyo, meaning he would run both the 100 and 200 meters at the World Championships. Lyles, to his credit, showed respect for his rival's abilities. He noticed that Tebogo always seems to race harder against him than against other competitors, calling it a very big compliment. He also praised Tebogo's versatility across different sprint events. The numbers support both athletes' confidence. Lyles currently leads their head-to-head record 4-2 in 200-meter races, but Tebogo's 2 wins came at the most important moments, the Olympic semifinals and final. Before those losses, Lyles had won 12 straight Diamond League 200-meter races. What makes this rivalry even more interesting is how both athletes have overcome serious challenges. Lyles has been open about dealing with asthma, allergies, dyslexia, ADD, anxiety, and depression. His message to fans is that what you have does not define what you can become. Tebogo's path from training barefoot in rural Botswana to Olympic gold shows similar determination. He once said that without sport, he would probably be a criminal by now, showing how athletics changed his life completely. Their different backgrounds also show in how they handle pressure. Lyles called 2025 his most wild and unexpected season due to his injury problems and limited racing schedule. He's had to deal with losses to Jamaican sprinters, Keishane Thompson, and Oblique Seville in the 100 meters, which is unusual for him. Tebogo has had his own struggles this year, including a knee injury that affected his early season performances. But both athletes have shown they can peak when it matters most. The upcoming World Championships in Tokyo will be the ultimate test of their rivalry. The 200-meter final is scheduled for September 19th, and the stakes couldn't be higher. For Lyles, this is about making history. He's trying to win his fourth straight world title in the 200 meters, something only the legendary Usain Bolt has achieved. He's also defending his 100-meter title, making him one of the most watched athletes at the championships. For Tebogo, this is about proving that Paris wasn't a fluke and that he really is the best 200-meter runner in the world right now. His bronze medal at the 2023 World Championships shows he's been building toward this moment for years. He was 16. Then something wild happened. One race, one kid, one number no one saw coming. People are still asking who this teen is and what did he just do? At just 16 years old, Cooper Lutkenhaus has done what most runners can only dream of, and he's done it before even finishing high school. In a sport dominated by years of training, experience, and maturity, this teenager from Justin, Texas, has turned the world of middle distance running upside down. In the 800-meter final at the 2025 USA Outdoor Track and Field Championships, Cooper didn't just hold his own against elite professionals, he obliterated expectations. Clocking in at a jaw, dropping 1 minute 42.27 seconds, he became the fastest under 18 runner in history, shattering the world U18 best by more than a second. But the real shock? He didn't just set a youth record, he placed second overall, earning him a spot on Team USA for the upcoming World Championships. This wasn't some high school heat or junior division meet. This was the national stage, where Olympic hopefuls and seasoned pros battle it out for international glory. And yet, Cooper Lutkenhaus didn't just show up, he stole the spotlight. To put that 1 minute 42.27 seconds in perspective, it made Cooper the fourth fastest American in history, over 800 meters, and the 18th fastest globally. That kind of performance would be stunning from a 25-year-old in their athletic prime. Coming from a teenager, it almost defies belief. But here's where the story gets even crazier. With his runner-up finish at Nationals, Cooper earned something far more valuable than just a medal he qualified for the World Championships in Tokyo. That makes him the youngest American ever to do so in track and field, breaking a long-standing record and sending shockwaves through the sport. While most kids his age are worried about homecoming and homework, Cooper is preparing to face the fastest runners on the planet. He'll be lining up against Olympic medalists and global champions, carrying the flag not just for his country but for a new generation of athletes rewriting the rules. And just days after his historic run, Cooper made another headline-grabbing decision. He turned pro. Foregoing the traditional path through NCAA competition, Cooper signed a professional contract with Nike, officially becoming the youngest U.S. male middle-distance runner ever to go pro while still in high school. It's a move that comes with both massive opportunity and massive pressure. But if anyone's shown they can handle it, it's this kid. In interviews, Cooper has shown remarkable poise and focus. There's no celebrity ego, no dramatics, just a young man who seems to understand the magnitude of what he's doing. He knows he's stepping into the deep end of the sport, and he's diving in head first. Turning pro at 16 isn't just rare, it's practically unheard of. Most runners spend years developing in college programs, building strength and strategy before testing themselves on the international stage.